Imagine this. You're in your study hall class, and your teacher has just closed the door after the bell has rang. With a somber expression, she turns around and faces the classroom, and she announces that one of your fellow classmates has just committed suicide. Now, you may have not known the classmate well, but you've noticed that this has been the third one this year. Or maybe you don't have children. Imagine that your child comes up to you after school and announces that one of their fellow classmates has just committed suicide, and they're curious. They want to know why. According to the Gateway to Mental Health, suicide is the second leading cause of death among those 10 to 34 years of age. Children are at most vulnerable during this time because they are still learning and they have a lot of stressful events that are ahead of them. It is in my opinion that mental health should be taught in schools as early as 6th grade. Now, according to the CDC, they state that mental health includes emotional, psychological, and your social well-being. It affects how we think, how we feel, how we act, and it also helps us determine how we will handle stress, how we relate to others, and then how we will be more healthier, make healthier choices. There are many factors of abuse, or of mental health. You have abuse such as psychological or physical or sexual. You also have trauma, you have bullying, you have drug use, you have discrimination or homelessness. Now, there is no set gender, age, or race that comes into factor when it comes to mental health. Everyone can get it, and there are over 200 different kinds you can get. Now, when we think of children, we think of happy and innocence. But what most don't realize is that this is the time when children learn the most. Now, mental health will play a factor into your learning. Now, when it comes to learning, the Gateway to Mental Health and Services stated that children and teens with mental health are less likely to graduate, and if they do go off to like college or technology school, they are more likely to struggle. Now, mental health also affects our physical well-being. This is where maybe some body issues will come into play. Now, as children, we are going to build our relationships. We're going to make friends that come and go, and we're going to build a relationship with our family members. This can lead to peer pressure, which we all know how bad peer pressure can be. We also know that this is when children will most likely use social media like Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, all those sites. And we know how bad social media can be for kids' minds. We also know that school is stressful with making friends, with keeping up with your grades, doing things with your friends, still being a kid, but also increasing your knowledge. It is our hope that if we teach children how to manage this, they are less likely to get a mental health disorder, and they're less likely to take drastic actions. Now, when it comes to mental health, there are different kinds of drastic actions that can be taken place. One of the big ones is drug use. Drug use can be used to basically like help your mind forget what's going on. But what some don't realize is that drug use can actually play a bigger factor into mental health and make it like 10 times worse. Now, bad thoughts can lead to acts of harming yourself. This is usually typically called self-harm, and it can be cutting yourself, which is usually the main one, and then you have burning yourself or starving yourself. There are many kinds. It can be anything that you're basically causing yourself harm. Now, the worst one is suicide, and suicide is probably one of the most, when it comes to mental health, is a cause that occurs the most often. Now, according to Gateway to Mental Health Services, 1.4 million people commit attempted suicide in the year 2019. Now, our brains have a way of tearing us down. So when it comes to children in their growing stage, this is detrimental to avoid. We do not want our kids to tear themselves down, as this is going to create issues for whenever they are older. Now, we must protect our children. We protect them from the outside, but we also have to protect them from their inside, from their mind themselves. According to Park and Nakamura, 50% of people ages 13 to 18 experience some form of mental health. With so much stress, our minds turn against us and we develop bad thoughts, thoughts that are not good for us. According to the American Psychology Association, many people do not talk about this, and this could be because of all the stigmas around it, or maybe some family members have made comments that make you question if you should say something. But what some don't realize, though, is that without treatment, they are only going to get worse, and they are not going to get better. And if they get worse, they're going to lead towards dangerous actions like either substance abuse or self-harm or even suicide. We're hoping that if we teach students as early as possible about mental health, they will be more inclined to seek help, and that we can avoid the student from having young children committing suicide. There should be no reason that a young child should be committing suicide. Really anyone, but when we think of children, we don't think of them wanting to die. We think of happiness and innocence. Hopefully with starting out as teaching at mental health by 6th grade, we can help children as best as we possibly can learn to accept everything and better their own minds. This is going to be out of order.